Alright, considering that I did one before and I'm going to do it again, we have a lot of building to do. And instead of making this 12 episodes and building two little things, we're going to break this down into one episode and get this crack-a-lackin'. I know it's been a minute, I do apologize. Family's gotten back from vacation, getting into the swing of things, going on another vacation. I didn't get that lucky. I still have. But, that being said, so, we're going to get crack-a-lackin', we're going to make this video super long. It's going to be super long for me. It should be the normal length for you guys. And hopefully it's just as enjoyable for you guys. And then like I said, maybe get to cycle 40. I don't really know. Right now we're at the longest cycle peak with this series and our Iron Teeth series, so I mean right now kind of the sky's the limit. I will bring it down into slow motion when we make the big boom, but until then we're just going to sit. You guys are going to be able to sit here and chill. I'm going to do a talk over, voiceover, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to get this thing nice and taken care of, hopefully. We are lacking a little bit of water, but I'm hoping that with this being a little bit deep, us having this to pull from as well as this bad tide shouldn't necessarily be a problem. Obviously we'll have all of our power supplies, and also what I'm hoping, I'm going to break it down real quick, a little jar headed, I guess you could say. I don't even know if that's a phrase. I'm discombobulated. So my hope is to get this done to where the bad water is no longer touching land, and we will stretch this out, get rid of this, make this look a little bit prettier, and hopefully that doesn't take too terribly long. We have the metal resources, so that shouldn't be a problem. And then the next thing to get done is our underground farmland. We need the TNT. I have paused this is a future endeavor. I don't want to do it just yet because I'm a little bit terrified that if I do this, then bad water will spill into here and that'll be a problem of itself. So tackling one problem at a time, and I think that just about covers everything. If I miss something, I'm sure you'll hear about it in a couple of seconds. So getting into it, and I will see you guys in about half a millisecond, and away we go. Alright, so I'm going to explain this real quick. So don't pay attention to the cycle or day, because I am putting this a little bit out of order, actually a lot of bit out of order. So we're going to focus on one project at a time from basically start to finish and have it set up that way instead of jumping back and forth between the Badwater project and the underground farming project that we have going on. So just to keep it all simple, I'm going to do one and then we're going to go to the next one. First one is going to be the tree project, or the farm project, and then we'll go to the Badwater project. That also being said, there was this drought, or this bad water cycle that we are on right now. This 2,000 water that we have runs out before the 21 days are up. So we did end up having to deal with that. I didn't put it in the video. We did survive. We barely made it by the skin of our teeth. It was a very close call, I'm not gonna lie. So what I did was I tried to empty the water that's in the above ground tree farm into our pool area, our dam area, to get that going, but it didn't really work. But like I said, we pulled through. I also forgot that I'm only running on 2 pumps right now. They're the big ones, but once again, it's just 2 pumps to feed 140 beavers. So you kind of see the problem there. We're not necessarily pumping enough water to get that going. But once again, we made it through. That was like probably the biggest problem that we met throughout this whole segment of videos, or this whole segment of this video, is that we ran out of water in this specific bad tide. So once this one passes, we got our water situation taken care of, and we are now having more water than I think we've ever had in this whole entire series. So good news there. We learned water management skills throughout this video, or throughout this little segment. So when you see the water droplets up, that's probably around that time of having that. So to get us started on the bad water, and this is before we start breaking it up, obviously we need to get this metal out of the way because I can't really just delete it. So it has to, we have to farm it first, and we are going to do that, and we're going to get a buttload of beavers on it so that we can make sure that it goes away fast, and where it doesn't really hinder us in what we're trying to accomplish here as far as not having any tiger stripes on the map. We're still going to have to deal with the water source in a future video, but that's not going to be this video. We're just mainly focusing on the bad water source to get that taken care of, so that is no longer one of our problems. I think that covers pretty much all that I have to explain the rest of this video, so we don't get lost and confused. But take a good look, because after this gets going, our map is not, our little section of Beaver Cove that we got going on over here is not going to be the same. And yeah, it took a good 4.5 hours to get it completely 100% changed, so a lot of work went into this. And as we start on our, I don't know, underground garden area, as we're going, we are waiting on TNT and green sludge. That was a huge problem that we had during this whole thing, is getting the materials to finish all of this. And I started adding paths just to, I don't know, it makes me feel like it goes faster. I don't know if it actually does or not, but we're trying to get all this TNT going so that we can make one big explosion. As I kept going back down here, I kept noticing that I had missed some landscaping little platform areas that we used to dig this big hole into the side of the cave. So we have finally made it. We are finally there. We are finally ready to explode this big giant hole, and look at all that TNT blow up. For the amount of time it took to get all that down there, it's kind of very surprising that it only took us about 45 seconds to blow this whole thing up. Granted, I did put it in one-time speed just to see how long it took, and I think it ended up taking about 15 seconds to go from one corner to the other. So congratulations to us. That was probably one of the biggest explosions I've done to date in this game. So high five to all the pyros we got going on here. The next thing is I felt like we were a little bit short on some of our food supplies, so considering we have a huge hole in the ground to start planting stuff, I was like, you know what, let's get chestnuts going, because we really don't have a place on the map to put a chestnut grove and actually have it be big enough to be effective in that kind of sense. Even with its conversion rate, it's still not that good. Obviously, while doing this, I made a couple of stupid mistakes as far as, hey, I need a path to keep going into the cave. So there's a lot of that, actually. I did that multiple times. But anyway, so we're going to get a little area where we're going to be able to put our chestnuts once they're picked and get those farmed. It's obviously going to take a great long deal to actually grow them, because I want to say it's like 28 days, and then on top of that another 8 days to get them. So we're looking at a long bit, and that's once everything gets built and grown. So the next thing I was thinking of was We also need another tree grove a little bit further down, and that was going to be mainly for, don't get mad when I butcher this, but I'm pretty sure it's for the maple syrup. We were having issues above ground after our water shortage that we had. We don't really run back into that problem, but at this current point in time, we kept having a water shortage, and it was killing too many trees. So on that topic, I was thinking, oh well, we have the room, we have the space, we have the greenery, we might as well, put a maple dispensary down here and get that going. After everybody started getting planted, it wasn't like it was a big thing and a big oops, but in hindsight, it kind of was an oops. I forgot that one, we needed gatherer flags to actually gather the chestnuts, and on top of that, I forgot a tapper shack. That was a big oops on my part. At this current point in time, with all the droughts and water problems that I created for our beavers, our grilled potatoes being pretty much the food of this whole series is pretty much what kept us growing afloat. With the conversion rate that the grilled potatoes had, I felt like it was in our best interest to use some of the space that we had available to us to then make a source of potatoes that wouldn't necessarily fail. And like I said, we got better with the water situation, so we weren't really needing to worry about actually having potatoes. I'm going to end up eventually putting another farmer's hut down here so that we can extend it into that little cove, because the farmer doesn't reach. But also, that being said, is when I was doing this, I didn't realize that I lost a lot of my chestnut or my maple trees or whatever, so we're going to come back around to that problem, and I'm going to make the maple grove just a little bit bigger, just so that we're actually getting some benefit from it, because the potatoes aren't necessarily that important because we have a lot of different foods growing up on ground level that don't like, our food situation isn't dire. That's what I'm trying to get at, but I'd like to get our potato grove going again, because I keep killing them because I can't manage water worth a dang. So we have the grove going, it's looking good. We are gathering potatoes. We are at the point of actually gathering chestnuts, so I wanted to build up our chestnut inventory so that then I could then come up here and then we could get the bakers on it, bakers, grillers, whatever they're called. But who is ready to start destroying some stuff? Alright, so first things first, I decided I was going to destroy the power wheels. Now, minus that we closed the water tank on this, bad ideas were already starting to be made. One of them being that now that we closed the bad water up so that we can actually work in this little valley and not get poisoned and have to worry about our workers going through that problem, I have no way to make TNT. So going back to our wood cove that we built underneath all this, you can kind of see why this then started taking quite a bit of time to actually build, create, and all that other stuff, because I had to then go and figure out a place to put this, and I was like, wait, I need power. And you can kind of see like how my intelligence was really working overtime during this part of the video. So I had to scramble real quick to get a TNT factory built so that we could then start mass producing TNT for the underground bunker, underground tree grove that we had going on, along with the stuff that we were going to have to do for our bad water, my channel thing that we got going on over here. It's not even a tunnel, but you get what I'm saying. So first things first, get rid of all the power wheels, which might or might not have been one of my smarter ideas, and have them start collecting all the materials in the middle of it, because we're going to need them pretty fast. I wanted to wait just a little bit to give them a chance, one, to get the metal from where the bad water was, along with building the TNT house, building whatever factory. But I also wanted them to give a chance to get the wood, because we were about to start needing that everywhere. I didn't want to destroy the factories yet. At this point, we already had enough factories above us that were running with the good water when it decided to flow, because I felt like for most of this video it was not flowing. But luckily we didn't have to use our gravity batteries all that much, and the wind pretty much blew the whole time, so we weren't really struggling as far as running the stuff that we needed to and struggling in that manner. So that was a plus. I was very happy with that. And now, so my idea for this lane, I don't even know what you want to call this, I don't even know, this river runoff, was to basically detonate it, drop it one level, and then we're going to build up those metal pathways that we use to build our kind of apartment building over there, and get that going, so that so we detonate one level and then we build on that level to rise it up to the level that it is at now. So first things first was getting everything out of my way, all the factories, because at this point obviously they're useless because we don't have any power wheels. And then making sure that metal was gone. Now this is a part where I kind of struggled a little bit, because I was like, okay, why do I want to make it? Because if you saw the iron teeth, I wasn't trying to make that mistake again, to where our flow out caused a problem, to where like it would then get to our food, or basically the bad water was getting to a place where we didn't really want it to be at. So until the runoff area was actually built, that was kind of my those dam pieces were kind of my guideline to like, okay, I want it back one level and we're going to have it meet right there. Obviously my math was off one level, because it needs to be pushed forward one, but you kind of get what I'm going at here. So we cleared out everything. Now it's time to add the TNT to get obviously one level down, so that we can then put in the metal pathways and all the other stuff. I'm also having to make sure I'm clearing off the right sections as far as like the side pieces, because I'm not wanting to go too far back. I'm not thinking like 3 steps ahead. I'm thinking like, okay, do this and then go to the next step. And obviously I ended up having to delete a lot, and stuff was placed and then deleted, then put it back. It was a lot of going back and forth. I was being very indecisive at this point. And on top of that, I didn't know this, and maybe someone else caught it and just didn't say anything because they wanted to see if I'd ever catch it. I did catch it. So this back pathway that you see where our zip line is connected, the only way that these beavers are able to get to like the science dome thing and the extract was to go through that port. So they couldn't get it, they couldn't go from the front because the path didn't hook up. So that was also something that I found out that I actually ended up having to deal with, and we're about to watch my 4 brain cells work overtime and try to figure this out. So, and I just noticed that the beavers could go underneath the platforms that we built. Interesting. Anyway, so, but there was no pathway that was built that would allow them to go where they needed to go. So I kind of had to figure that out on the fly, because at this current point in time, I thought they were able to reach from this side, but they weren't. So go figure, right? So I tried to put a path there, but I shortly then realized that the staircase is facing the wrong way to allow that to happen, so had to build a staircase. Obviously we hired, I think it was like 12 beavers to then get rid of the metal. They did a very interesting and fast job about that, so that was one less thing that we had to worry about. But now that we have power going to the TNT thing, we're going to start moving up. Our bunker's going to be built. Obviously at this current point in time, you watched our bunker get built, you watched everything that I put into it, so at this current point in time the bunker is not built. That was our drought where we didn't have any water. Just so you can, I try to cut it out, but I'm not going to cut it out. It looks fine. But anyway, so we got the TNT thing going. At this current point in time, obviously one TNT factory is not going to cut it for the amount of TNT that we're going to be using. We're waiting way too long to get the TNT to the places that we need it to, with also having about like 2,000 or 2,500 things worth of bad water. So there was no reason that we should have been struggling to get TNT going, because obviously we had the power, we have more than enough power to keep that going. So at this current point in time, it was like, yes, we need a second building to get that going so that we can get all this TNT placed. As you can tell right now, I've done a pretty good job at upgrading our water storage. So now that we have a large amount of water in our tanks and everything else, so good news there. I wanted these placed so then I could start working on the sidewalls and getting the height right and my wooden plank or my wooden dams down, because that was also something that needed to be done, is to make sure that there was no bad tide that would affect or come into contact with ground. That's kind of the whole purpose of what we're doing here, is making sure that bad tide doesn't really touch the ground. This top area, I don't know if I know I said I was going to do it, but I don't know if I will, because this little area, as long as the tiger stripes don't really stretch out past this little corner, I think we're okay as far as having them there, because does it make a difference? Because I mean, that'd be another, I'm not going to say massive project, but it'd definitely be a big project. It'd definitely probably take us like 2 episodes to do it after we get going again. Something to think about. Put it in the comments, depending on how you feel about that. But yeah, we needed, so we're going to get this factory built. We're going to get power supplied to it, because obviously working in this tiny little space over here, it does create problems as far as like how we're going to manage the factories that we already got going here. I think at this current point in time, the science factory, the science whatever, the watchtower, the thing looking into space, whatever it's called, I don't think that's necessary to actually have. I think being at 24,000, I think that's more than enough science for whatever else we have to get. And before episodes, I've been unlocking some statues and stuff like that, so I think the next couple of episodes we're probably going to start putting some statues down and just kind of seeing what transpires from the statues, because they've actually never built any statues, so it'd be interesting to be a first on the channel to see what the statues do and all the other stuff, because they did, we placed a lot of happy stuff, happy management, whatever, to make our beavers happy and whatnot. And as that got built throughout these 4 hours of me playing this game, our happiness, or our green little bar, whatever they manage, our little thing, started going up, and I think we maxed out at like 22 at the end of this. So I mean, the little happiness things are, apparently they work. So food for thought. We have those scattered throughout the thing, but I know those statues do help in certain aspects of like farming and working and all that other stuff. So we might have to look into that and see if we can place statues in a place that would be beneficial to the beavers, and maybe it gets them working faster. Because like I said, this video, oh man, like, you ever been, okay, this is a bad example, but you know when like you're bored and you're like, or like for example you're at work and you're like, you're looking at the clock and it's like literally inching, like you look at it, it's 2:30, you look at it again, it's 2:31, you're like, I felt like that was like 20 minutes. I was kind of making this video is I was on 3x speed, and I kept having to check to make sure that I was on 3x speed, because I was like, I don't feel like these beavers are moving at all. I don't feel like I'm accomplishing anything. So maybe those statues would help that and get their butts in gear a little bit, because I mean we had 16-ish, I believe, 12, 16 beavers on build duty, and I get that we're building an underground bunker and we need the TNT, but like we're just carrying stuff. So at that point, yeah, something to look into, especially if the statues actually do work. Might be worth it. So we are getting this little channel set up. We have our sidewalls on the left side that are going to be almost fully done. We're just waiting on a little bit of TNT to kind of blow this out and then start putting our metal walkways in. I wanted to get rid of that one, but all the stuff that's on the ground is actually gears. All those like little wooden pieces of debris and whatnot, 90% of that, 98% of that, minus what I'm deleting right now, is actually gears. So we have no place to put gears, and there's nothing in the immediate future that I'm building that requires gears. So slight problem there, but good news is 90% of it is on the side, so we're actually able to get a hold of it once we actually start building factories again. And I have a few ideas for that, and I'll try to remember to touch base on that in a second. But I think how we have the factories set up right now is efficient enough to get us to the end of this series. And I know I keep talking about the end of the series, but there's a couple, like I said, there's a couple of things I want to finish on before we call it good. But yeah, so we just finished all the TNT. Actually, we got one more piece, but once we have this piece and the beavers get clear, we are going to go mega boom on this and get this taken care of, so that we can start building those metal walkways and the stuff that you put on the metal walkways to keep the water above ground. And I just need to point this out because I was impressed with myself, is that I did not do any counting, any measurement, or anything. I just completely lucked out, and the metal walkway, whatever things, fit perfectly from this point forward. Like there was no, oh, I need to, change this, put, sideways and whatnot. Now it's time to get building materials out of the way so that we can then come in here and start placing down our pathway, our walkway, whatever. So we gotta get this little hook out of the way, this little puzzle piece, whatever you want to call it, out of the way, and then we can obviously go full-fledged on everything else. But yeah, I guess I should have built another storage for the gears, because watching this back, I can kind of see how that's annoying. That's a lot of debris that we have left over. And yeah, so, but good news is after this, we don't really struggle too much with TNT. It's more of our building capabilities. And like I said, I don't know what it was, but these beavers definitely had their struggles with it. And also something that I guess you can also put in the comments is, if I don't know if you saw that, but I dragged the barriers onto ground, and I was curious, would that work? Could we just, instead of doing everything that we just got done doing, could I have just deleted everything and obviously made it the size that I wanted it, and then just put ground barriers on it, and would that have protected the ground from the water? Or does there actually need to be separation from it? Because I'm very curious on that now. So, next thing I wish is that they would go as far as we'd want it to go. Like when you're dragging stuff, like I feel like that would make sense to actually get that. So instead of just going 10, we could go 50, 100. We could cover the whole map if we truly wanted to. I guess it would also help if you had an undo button. But anyway, back to the task at hand. So as you can tell, we have our TNT set up to where we're going to take away from the wall, get everything nice and neat. That's the best way I can put this, is we are taking away parts of the map that make this area look a little bit cluttered. And yeah, we're going to make this, obviously I've seen the finished product. We make this very symmetrical. I guess is really the only word I can put for this, is very, very symmetrical. Neat and organized, which is everything I kind of want in my map that I have going on here. Is I need neatness. Also, those tiger stripes, they just look ugly, and I think something that we need to focus on is maybe trying to make the whole map green. We don't really have a whole lot of surface area to deal with, but I mean, we might as well shoot for it now, right? Like, get everything to be green, pretty, all that kind of stuff, minus that little top corner. I'm okay with that top corner being dead. We need reminders of the past, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to hopefully get these dams built and everything looking nice. Here I realized that it would be, I guess, beneficial if instead of we making this too wide, that it would be easier, and instead of funneling the water into like a narrow port, just leaving it 4 deep the whole way. That way that there's no backups, you know, like where the water spills over maybe into our cropped area, or maybe we're in a good tide or whatever, because I want to say that we can have this flowing all the time, and having that be a problem. So I decided to go ahead and just dig the holes and make it to where we can just then move those dam pieces one piece out, and like I said, get everything flowing nice, evenly, and not really hopefully not have to worry about spillage or anything like that on other areas of the map that we're obviously trying to protect for crop reasons, and I mean overall general health, obviously, because apparently that red stuff is something nasty. So as long as we can keep that going, and hopefully, like I said, this idea will hopefully work. I mean, I can't promise anything, because up to this current point hasn't been tested yet. So there's that. But I think, like I said, I think this will work out better and get us into, I guess, an even math space, is having it 4 and 4. Only makes sense. So instead of making a bottleneck. So here we're still working on it. We're still trying to make it pretty. Like I said, all this thing, oh man, it takes time. That's all it is. And quite frankly, certain parts of this video, I was very much running out of it. Like, I was like, I don't have the patience for this anymore. Just because, like I said, I couldn't figure out why it was taking us so terribly long to get this going and built. Because I feel like in about another couple of minutes or so, we're going to really start kicking into another gear, and everything's just going to be bam, done, and yeah, but up until that point, it took forever. And here, I'd like to point out, I made a mistake. I wish I didn't do this, but I did. I could have left the platforms there and then just put the water thing, the little tile things over the top of them to stop the water from going underneath of it. So the water barriers or whatever they're called, impenetrable floor. There you go. So I didn't realize that. It took a little bit too long for me to get that understanding, but as you can tell from this point of view, we've gotten quite a bit done. We're like I said, we're waiting on some TNT to get done. We have the sticks. We just need, I guess, access to place them. But up to this point, everything's pretty much built except for the little tile pieces. The impenetrable floor is basically what we're missing. So we're going to place some extra little platform pieces kind of off of these other platform pieces just to help these little building structures to just kind of help allow them to reach, because I don't know if they can walk on the impenetrable floor. Like, they're given the impression that they can't, in all honesty. So I just kind of added those pieces in the hopes that it would allow them to be able to build it from the top. If that's the way it has to go, then that's the way it has to go. So it's a little bit unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is. So, and over here, obviously on the other side, I put my brain cells together and figured out that we can just delete that top row and then put in penetrable floors, and we should be good to go. The planks or the platform areas did seem to start helping, so that was a nice, bit of good news. And so we can get that going. Here I put 3 TNT all the way around because my original idea was to dig down, but I'm hoping I don't have to do that. So my idea that I'm going with right now is we're going to blast 3 down, and then once we get 3 down, then we're just going to wood everything up, and hopefully that stops everything, or it doesn't allow the tiger stripes to go out. Because like I said, even after this video ends, if you're hoping to see how this looks or how this works or whatever, that's next video. I'll ruin it now. So if you made it this far, you can leave if you wanted to see how this goes, because like I said, this was a long episode, and at the end of this I was just like, you know what, it's time to be done. So there's that. Keep that in mind. But next episode, definitely hitting that off. So, but it should work just fine. Like I said, everything's buried up. No dirt is actually touching. So we're in a good space as far as that is concerned. And like I said, theoretically, it should all work. That being said, I do have my doubts. So we'll kind of have to see how this plays out. Hopefully, like I said, I did everything well, because as you can tell from what we have going on right now and what we have done, it looks very neat. It looks very nice. It looks very tidy. It looks just, in all honesty, well put together. Like, it looks like we put a suit on a monkey and it worked. That's kind of, what I'm going with. Is we suited up a monkey, and guess what? Now we got Captain America. That was probably a bad reference, but you kind of get it. So like I said, we'll see if the bad tide spreads or whatever as far as like our underground cavern goes, above ground cavern. But like I said, we have pretty much wood around this whole thing, so there really shouldn't be a problem. My only concern is when we have a bad tide, and so we'll have water flowing off the map this way, and then it'll be coming from our water sources. So that's, like I said, that's really my only worry. But I did end up building the surface wall, I guess you could call it, basically the backstop. I ended up building that really high, and that kind of hope is that, one, if it does have a problem, at least we have a huge backstop, because like I said, my iron teeth, I didn't really plan for that, and it turned around and bit us in the tail. So hopefully I learn from my mistakes, and this is a good representation of hopefully learning from said mistakes and not making those mistakes again. I have thought about it, and I'm not 100% sure because, like I said, it hasn't been tested yet, bad tide or any kind of tide whatsoever. So my thoughts are, I don't know if I need to put like a platform right at the mouth of the cave and then put dams going up the wall, because I don't know if maybe if there's splash, if that counts as like bad tide touching it, you know what I mean? So I will, like I said, there's going to be things that we're going to have to figure out as far as like what's what, unfortunately. But like I said, looks good, feels good, and it definitely gave me what I was kind of looking for as far as like a very elegant. I feel like looks elegant. I mean, building it wasn't very elegant, I will say that. It was kind of disgusting and looked like one of those naked cats. Sorry if you have one, but it is what it is. So, like I said, we're almost at the finished product. We're almost at the finish line. We got TNT going. We're right there. We're at the cusp. We're just trying to get. What am I doing, man? Anyway, sorry about the camera angle. So, I built stairs for this specific reason because, like I said, I felt like we were severe. Like our beavers need to be up close and personal on platform, like the whatever they're building, and maybe I just didn't pay attention, maybe I missed something, I'm not even quite sure exactly, but I know that if they're above it, they can build from sky level to ground. Doesn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. Eye level, fine, and then I think they can reach one space over, and then they go 2 spaces above them. So the math doesn't math to me. So maybe that was my mistake, is it just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm just like, I mean, whatever. So that could have been one of the reasons why it took so long to build. And I feel like I'm talking about this a lot. And as you can tell, there's where our tree farm is. So I feel like now we're kind of at the same point that we left off from the tree farm to now, if that kind of helps you with the timeline. Obviously you can watch the dates jump around, but that's basically, I feel like that's pretty much where we're at. As we reach the end of our build, and let's just take a look at other places along the map just to kind of see how everything looks. We got water, we got food. I think it's now time to kind of add in what's going to the point of everything, and that's kind of to get this to function as a power source, so that we can, one, charge our batteries and then start adding more to our industry level as far as like maybe bots and all that. I did want to talk about this in this video, just kind of giving a lowdown, but where I'm putting these wheels at, I want to end up putting like our bot area. I thought that this, instead of putting more industry back on this level, like obviously we're going to put industry buildings there, but I thought this would be a great time to, like, okay, since we moved everything over there and everything's functioning behind us with the good water, that we could then put the bot factories here, excuse me, and get those going, so that then we could focus on putting those in the mines, and so we don't have injured workers. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the bad water pumping station, I don't really know what it's called at this current point in time, but the bad water pumping station that we have in the back of the map would be a good, I think that also injures our beavers, so it'd also be a good idea to have those the bots take over the mining and the bad water factory, just so we can eliminate having injured beavers, because I feel like that slows us down just a wee bit. Obviously, the little makeshift platforms that I put on top of the wall, that is going to be for the power source, the wheels to eventually hook up to like the gravity batteries and everything else. So everything, once again, has constant power and is able to run all the time. We need, and then once we get the factories and everything else that we're making to get power that goes up there, then obviously it'll look better. And I don't know about looking better, it'll probably look alright, but you get it. The gears, the pipeline, the power lines, let's call them power lines, are out of the way, so we don't have to worry about the beavers it being in their way and all that other stuff. The only challenges that we're going to have that I kind of saw when I built or I didn't see until after all the platforms were done, was our beavers can't reach it. Like, I mean, they can build the platforms, but since it's too high, they can't build that third block. So that was going to be an issue that we ran into. So, having to build a little bit more just so the beavers can get to it. And I wasn't 100% if the beavers would be able to walk across. I ended up building ladders up there, but I didn't think, because we placed stuff down, that they'd be able to walk across and build it. So we're going to end up building this little power line structure 2 at a time, which, I mean, is what it is, but we'll make it work. And then at this current point in time, I didn't realize that the beavers had built my back wall drop thing that I had designed to keep the water in right there, and it ended up flooding. So we had to take that down a couple of levels so that it wouldn't it wouldn't overflood our map, which it ended up doing not a couple of times, just once, because like I said, we were having a lot of droughts. We were having a lot of 18-day droughts with like 6-day prepare time, which isn't enough to like overfill our water. But once we get those longer good tides, it does kind of overfill our water. So that was something that I noticed, and I tried to get fixed. It just took a minute, but in that instance, I wanted to make sure that we made this little area a little bit bigger, because I wanted to be able to draw water. And like I said, one of our next bigger projects is going to be recirculating this water in so that we can pump from it if need be, with like underground tunnels, and then maybe also having it pump back into like our farmland with the like cattails and everything like that. Because and at this point I'm just trying to make sure we get all the planks, because we're going to need them, because sorry, but I couldn't help myself. We needed our next big project, and obviously our next big project is going to span over a couple of episodes of getting our new project underway, because it's gonna take a lot of planks. I'm letting you know that right now. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't help myself. I just saw it and I was like, you know what? Why not? It took us 6 episodes to get to this point, so at this point I feel like we're in that stage where it's either you go big or you go home type thing. So I just can't help myself, and I like putting myself in debt as far as storage and just saving a whole bunch of items and then going, okay, let's spend it all and a little bit more. So just be prepared for that, because it's about to go down. And it's going to take us a minute to get our log storage back up, because like I said, we used all of our logs for the walls and everything that we had going on here, and some of the platforms in the middle. So I didn't really think it would cost that much, but it looks nice, it's effective, it works, and I mean, you can't really put a price on that, you know what I'm saying? So we'll build it back. Obviously, we have the areas and all the other stuff to manage that resource. It's just getting it back so that it helps us out in the long run. What else? I don't think it's really going to affect our green sludge, but yeah, I won't ruin anything, but I did figure out more about that circle, and we're going to be in the future dealing with it in an appropriate way. But as you can tell, I was like, it's time for more space. So we're going to go, like I said, we're going big. And I'm not going to do another massive video. We're just going to work on it small amounts of time throughout the videos, and hopefully it all pans out. But yeah, I was like, it's time to go big. Let's get a big cave. You know, let's make sure that we've taken full advantage of everything that this map has to offer and what it can give us, because we're kind of running out of space to a certain degree. Like we've taken certain steps to give us more space, obviously with the bad water little channel thing that we got going on here, and now we're kind of starting to demolish this little area to give us more water room. Obviously I'm not gonna call it an oopsie, but I kind of lap of judgment and left a little bit of some pinnacles up. I don't even, pillars, let's call them pillars. Pillars is a better word. So we left some pillars up. I have a plan to get to those, no biggie, but I did want to make another dam, reservoir, whatever you want to call it, so that we can get, like I said, my idea is to maybe feed water back into our cattail area, maybe have the underground area be a cattail area and spatter dock area so we can actually collect some. And then also the end goal is, once again, trying to feed the water back into our dam areas so that we can, you know, not necessarily have to worry about water, but we'll have a decent water supply in other areas that's able to be recycled. It's about recycling. That's my main goal. Is I want recycling, because I don't want water to go to waste, because I feel like out of everything that we have, that is our most valuable resource. And I don't think we built the original dam, this one, I don't think it's big enough to actually hold enough to support almost 150 beavers, you know what I'm saying? So we need to make sure that we take care of that. And food, awesome, we're doing great on food, but water has always been that thing throughout this whole thing that has just kind of very much hurt us, and we like to push the boundaries with that. So I'm trying to think of ways to make it so we're not pushing the boundaries on that. But anyway, I hope you like this style of video and kind of going all over the place and focusing on the two builds and not really caring about the timeline. It all fits eventually into one timeline. Now we've merged again and we're all back at square one, so to speak. But this is as far as I got. I didn't want to, I mean, like I said, this is a long video, so long video for me. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, and I will catch you guys next time. And hopefully the video will be back to normal, so we will have that. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.